The moment Jacqueline Nelson learned she couldn't have children was the moment she decided love wasn't in her future. Sitting across from her fertility specialist in a cream-colored office that tried too hard to be comforting, the diagnosis hit like a physical blow. Premature ovarian failure at 35. The CEO of Lumina Technologies stared at her manicured hands, the same hands that had built a tech empire, now folded uselessly in her lap as the doctor explained her options. But Jacqueline had already stopped listening. "I understand," she said, cutting off the doctor mid-sentence. "Thank you for your time." 7 months later, Jacqueline had thrown herself even deeper into her work. Lumina Technologies had just secured a major government contract, and she should have been celebrating. Instead, she found herself driving through a neighborhood she'd never visited before, having taken a wrong turn after leaving a meeting. Rain slashed against her windshield as she navigated unfamiliar streets in her sleek Audi. When her car sputtered to a stop, she groaned. Perfect. The fuel gauge showed empty. How had she missed that? Jacqueline reached for her phone to call her assistant, then paused. It was nearly 10 p.m. on a Friday. She could handle this herself. The nearest open establishment was a diner with flickering neon signs and windows fogged with condensation. Pulling her designer coat tighter around her body, she dashed through the downpour and pushed open the door. The warmth hit her first, then the smell of coffee and something savory. A few patrons looked up briefly before returning to their meals. Jacqueline spotted an empty booth and slid in, shaking raindrops from her hair. Rough night. She looked up to find a man standing by her table, holding a coffee pot. He wasn't wearing the diner's uniform, but jeans and a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms corded with lean muscle. Dark hair curled slightly at his temples, and his eyes, a warm hazel, crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "Car trouble," Jacqueline explained, surprised by her own honesty. "I ran out of gas a block away." "That's bad luck," he said, setting down the coffee pot and grabbing a clean mug from the next table. He poured her a cup without asking. "I'm Hugh, by the way, Hugh Novick." "I'm not actually a waiter here." "I gathered that," she replied, wrapping her cold hands around the warm mug. "Jacqueline Nelson." "Well, Jacqueline Nelson, drink your coffee. I'll see if Rita can rustle you up something to eat, and then I can help you with your car." Before she could protest, Hugh had walked away, speaking softly to an older woman behind the counter. Jacqueline watched him, puzzled by his casual offer of help. In her world, nothing came without strings attached. 10 minutes later, she was halfway through a surprisingly good burger when Hugh returned to her booth, sliding in across from her. A little girl of about 5 followed him, climbing up next to him with practiced ease. "This is Mia," Hugh said, helping the child settle. "My daughter." "Hello," Jacqueline said, feeling oddly nervous. She rarely interacted with children. Mia looked at her with wide brown eyes. "Your necklace is pretty," she said, pointing to the delicate pendant at Jacqueline's throat. "Thank you." Jacqueline touched it self-consciously. "It was my mother's." Hugh smiled at the exchange. "Rita's watching Mia while I help you with your car. Is that okay? You really don't have to. It's pouring out there, and you're wearing shoes that probably cost more than my monthly rent," Hugh observed, nodding at her heels. "Let me help." "I've got a gas can in my truck." Jacqueline found herself nodding. "Thank you." Outside, the rain had eased to a drizzle. Hugh pulled up beside her Audi in an older model pickup truck that had seen better days but appeared meticulously maintained. "Nice car," he said, grabbing a red gas can from his truck bed. "CEO perks," Jacqueline startled. "How did you know I'm a CEO?" Hugh shrugged as he began filling her tank. "I recognized your name. Lumina Technologies, right? Your face was on the cover of Business Week last month." "You read Business Week." "I read everything," he replied. "Library's free." As they stood beside her car, Jacqueline noticed a stack of textbooks in his truck. "Are you a student?" "Part-time," Hugh said, replacing the gas cap. "Engineering program at State." "Full-time dad, part-time student, occasional handyman." "And Mia's mother?" The question slipped out before she could stop it. A shadow crossed Hugh's face. "Cancer 3 years ago." "I'm sorry," Jacqueline said genuinely. She knew loss too well herself. "We manage," Hugh said, the shadow passing as quickly as it had appeared. Your car should start now. That'll get you to a gas station. Jacqueline reached for her purse. Let me pay you for the gas, not necessary. Hugh cut her off. Just pay it forward someday. Back inside the diner, Mia had fallen asleep against Rita's shoulder. Hugh gently took his daughter, cradling her against his chest with practiced ease. Thank you again, Jacqueline said, suddenly reluctant to leave. Anytime, Hugh replied, shifting Mia slightly. Though maybe next time you're in the neighborhood, your car won't need to break down for you to stop in. Jacqueline smiled, surprised by the warmth that spread through her at his words. Maybe it won't. Driving home that night, she couldn't stop thinking about Hugh Novick and his daughter. There had been something genuine about him that she rarely encountered in her corporate world, an authenticity that had nothing to do with strategy or advantage. She didn't expect to see him again. She certainly didn't expect to find herself driving back to that same diner a week later, telling herself it was just because she'd enjoyed the burger. The diner was busier this time, the lunch crowd filling most of the tables. Jacqueline hesitated in the doorway, suddenly self-conscious in her tailored suit among the casually dressed patrons. Well, look who's back, a voice called. Rita waved from behind the counter. Your usual booth is open, honey. Jacqueline slid into the same booth as before, touched that Rita remembered her. A few minutes later, the older woman brought her a menu. Hugh's not here today, Rita said with a knowing smile. He's only in on Friday nights. Helps me out when I'm short-staffed, and I watch Mia for him while he attends his night class. Oh, I was just in the area, Jacqueline lied, heat rising to her cheeks. Rita's eyes twinkled. Sure you were, honey. What can I get you? After finishing her lunch, Jacqueline left her business card with Rita. If Hugh needs any help with anything, she said awkwardly, I know some good programs for single parents. Rita tucked the card into her apron pocket. I'll make sure he gets it. 2 days later, Jacqueline's assistant buzzed her intercom. There's a Hugh Novick here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment. Jacqueline's heart skipped. Send him in, please. Hugh looked different in the bright lights of her office, more substantial somehow, less like a chance encounter and more like a deliberate choice. He wore a clean button-down shirt and khakis, his hair still damp from a shower. Nice building, he said, looking around her spacious corner office with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Better than my classroom. What brings you here? Jacqueline asked, coming around her desk. Hugh held up her business card. Rita gave me this. Said you mentioned programs for single parents? Yes, she said, gesturing for him to sit. Lumina has a scholarship fund for parents pursuing STEM degrees. It covers tuition and provides a stipend for childcare. Hugh's expression shifted. I'm not looking for charity, Jacqueline. It's not charity, she said firmly. It's an investment. We need more engineers, and the program has a job placement component. You'd work for Lumina after graduation. You don't even know if I'm any good. Rita says you're taking engineering classes. Your truck has been modified with custom parts I'm guessing you designed yourself, and you didn't hesitate to help a stranger in the rain, she listed. I'm a good judge of character, Hugh. It's why my company is successful. Hugh studied her for a long moment. Why are you doing this? Jacqueline considered deflecting with corporate speak about community engagement, but something in his direct gaze made her honest. Because Mia deserves a father who can pursue his dreams while taking care of her, and because you helped me when you didn't have to. After a long pause, Hugh nodded. I'll apply, but I want to be clear if I get in, it's on merit. I wouldn't have it any other way. Hugh was accepted into the Lumina Scholarship Program the following month. Jacqueline kept her distance, not wanting to appear to show favoritism, but she found herself looking for his name in program reports, pleased when his professors noted his exceptional work. Their paths crossed again at Lumina's annual charity gala. Scholarship recipients were invited to network with company executives, and Jacqueline spotted Hugh across the ballroom, looking uncomfortable but handsome in a rented tuxedo. Mr. Novick, she said, approaching him with a professional smile. I'm glad you could make it, Miss Nelson, he replied with equal formality, though his eyes were warm. Thank you for the invitation. They fell into easy conversation, and Jacqueline found herself relaxing in a way she rarely did at company functions. Hugh told her about his classes and his latest projects. She found herself genuinely interested, asking questions that led to animated discussions about engineering innovations. "How's Mia?" she asked eventually. Hugh's expression softened. "Growing too fast. She started kindergarten last month. She's already reading at a first-grade level." "She must take after her father," Jacqueline said. "Actually, she reminds me more of her mother every day," Hugh admitted. "Same determination, same curiosity." Jacqueline nodded, respecting his honesty. "It must be difficult raising her alone." "It is," Hugh said, "but worth every minute." He hesitated, then added, "She asked about you, the lady with the pretty necklace." "She did. Children remember kindness," Hugh said simply. Then, with a sudden boldness, "Would you like to come to her birthday party next Saturday?" "Nothing fancy, just cake in the park if the weather's good." Jacqueline's calendar was full of meetings and conference calls that Saturday, but she heard herself say, "I'd love to." That Saturday found Jacqueline sitting on a park bench, watching Hugh chase a giggling Mia through autumn leaves. She'd brought a gift, a children's book about a girl scientist that had been her own favorite as a child. Mia had hugged her in thanks, a spontaneous gesture that had left Jacqueline blinking back unexpected tears. "She likes you," Hugh said, dropping onto the bench beside her while Mia played with her friends from school. "I like her too," Jacqueline admitted. "She's special." "Yeah, she is." Hugh watched his daughter with obvious pride. After a comfortable silence, he said, "Can I ask you something personal?" Jacqueline tensed slightly. "You can ask." "Why does someone like you, successful, brilliant, beautiful, spend a Saturday at a kid's birthday party in a public park?" The question caught her off guard. "I was invited," she said, aiming for lightness. Hugh's gaze remained steady. "That's not an answer." Jacqueline looked away, watching Mia play. "I never thought I'd have this," she said softly. "A family, children. Why not?" The words seemed to come from somewhere deep inside her. "I can't have children. Medical condition, I found out last year." Hugh was quiet for a moment. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "That must have been hard to hear." "It was," she agreed. "I threw myself into work afterward, told myself I didn't need anything else. And now?" She turned to him, surprised by the question. "Now I'm not so sure." Their eyes met, and Jacqueline felt something shift between them, a barrier dissolving, a possibility opening. Hugh reached for her hand, his palm warm against hers. "Maybe you should keep an open mind." Over the next few months, Jacqueline found herself gradually being drawn into Hugh and Mia's lives. It started with occasional dinners. Hugh was an excellent cook, having learned out of necessity after his wife died. Then came movie nights at Hugh's modest apartment, where Jacqueline discovered the joy of animated films watched from a couch fort built by an enthusiastic 5-year-old. One Sunday morning in early spring, Hugh invited her to join them for their weekly ritual at the community garden where they tended a small plot. "I never pictured you as a gardener," Jacqueline said as she watched Hugh showing Mia how to plant tomato seedlings. "Angela, my late wife, started it," Hugh explained, patting soil around a delicate plant. "She wanted Mia to understand where food comes from. After she died, it became our way of keeping her memory alive." Jacqueline nodded, touched by his openness about Angela. He spoke of her often, neither hiding his grief nor letting it overshadow his present. It was one of the things she admired most about him, his ability to honor the past while still embracing the future. "Would you like to plant something?" Mia asked, offering Jacqueline a tiny pepper seedling. "I don't have much experience with plants," Jacqueline admitted. "I'm afraid I'll kill it." "That's okay," Mia said seriously. "Daddy says it's okay to make mistakes as long as you're trying your best." Hugh met Jacqueline's eyes over his daughter's head, his expression soft. Wise words. Under Mia's careful instruction, Jacqueline planted her first seedling, enjoying the feeling of soil between her fingers and the sun on her back. When she finished, Mia inspected her work and declared it pretty good for a beginner. Hugh laughed. High praise from the garden expert. Later, as they walked back to Hugh's apartment, Mia skipping ahead, Hugh took Jacqueline's hand. It felt natural, as if they'd been doing it for years instead of minutes. "Thank you for coming today," he said. "Thank you for inviting me," she replied. "It feels good to create something that grows." Hugh squeezed her hand. "You create things all the time through your company. It's not the same," Jacqueline said. "Those are products, services. This is life, Hugh stopped walking, turning to face her. "Jacqueline, I need to tell you something," her heart stuttered. "What is it?" "I'm falling in love with you," he said simply. "And I think Mia is too, in her way." Jacqueline felt a surge of joy followed immediately by fear. "Hugh, I don't know if I can be a mother," he finished gently. "I'm not asking you to replace Angela. I'm just asking you to be you, the woman who helped a stranger in the rain, who shows up for birthday parties, who plants seedlings even though she's afraid of failing." Jacqueline looked ahead at Mia, who was carefully examining a ladybug on a leaf. "What if I'm not enough?" "You're already more than enough," Hugh said, "but I understand if you need time." She did need time, but not as much as she expected. 2 weeks later, Jacqueline invited Hugh to her penthouse apartment for dinner, the first time he'd seen where she lived. Hugh whistled softly as he took in the expansive space with its modern furnishings and panoramic city views. "Nice place, very. What does that mean?" she asked, amused. "Elegant, sophisticated." He ran a hand along the sleek kitchen counter, but also a bit lonely. Jacqueline couldn't argue with his assessment. "It served its purpose," she said, "a place to sleep between workdays. And now," she took a deep breath, "now I'm reconsidering a lot of things." Over dinner, Jacqueline told Hugh about her childhood, her parents' early deaths, her determination to succeed in their memory, the years of putting career before personal life. He listened attentively, asking questions but never judging. "When I got my diagnosis," she said, "it felt like the universe confirming what I'd always suspected, that I wasn't meant for the traditional family path." "And now?" Hugh asked, echoing his earlier question. Jacqueline reached across the table for his hand. "Now I'm falling in love with a man who shows me every day that family isn't about biology, it's about choice." Hugh's smile was radiant. "Does this mean you're choosing us? If you'll have me," she said, "though I should warn you, I have no idea what I'm doing." "Neither do I," Hugh admitted with a laugh. "I'm making it up as I go along, but we can figure it out together." Their first kiss, when it came, felt like coming home to a place she'd never been before, unfamiliar yet perfectly right. Jacqueline had dated powerful men, charming men, wealthy men. None had made her feel the way Hugh did, seen for who she truly was, valued not for what she could provide, but simply for being herself. Their relationship progressed steadily over the following months. Jacqueline learned to navigate the complexities of becoming part of a child's life, with all its challenges and rewards. Mia tested boundaries, as children do, sometimes accepting Jacqueline warmly and other times regarding her with suspicion. "She asked me if I was trying to replace her mommy," Jacqueline told Hugh one night after a particularly difficult bedtime. Hugh sighed. "What did you say?" "I told her that no one could ever replace her mother," Jacqueline replied. "But that if she wanted, I could be her friend who loves her very much." Hugh pulled her close. "You're amazing, you know that. I'm trying," she said honestly. "I want this to work." As summer approached, Hugh completed his degree with honors, graduating at the top of his class. Lumina offered him a position in their research and development department, which he accepted with the condition that his hours remain flexible enough for school pickups and doctor appointments. Jacqueline found herself adjusting her own schedule as well, delegating more responsibilities to her capable executive team so she could attend Mia's dance recitals and school events. The company didn't suffer, in fact. With less micromanagement from its workaholic CEO, it thrived. One evening in late June, Hugh took Jacqueline to their community garden after work. The plot they'd planted in spring was now lush with vegetables and flowers, a riot of colors and textures in the golden evening light. "Remember your pepper plant?" Hugh asked, pointing to a thriving plant heavy with bright red fruits. "I can't believe it survived," Jacqueline marveled, touching one of the peppers gently. "You underestimate yourself," Hugh said. He seemed nervous suddenly, fidgeting with something in his pocket. "Jacqueline, these past months have been the happiest of my life since Angela died. You've brought joy back into our home, love back into our lives." Jacqueline felt her eyes well with tears. "You've done the same for me." Hugh took her hands in his. "I know we come from different worlds. I know there are 1,000 reasons why this shouldn't work, your career, my responsibilities, our different backgrounds. None of that matters to me," she assured him. It matters in practical ways, Hugh said. But the important thing, the only thing that really matters, is that we love each other. And that Mia needs you in her life as much as I do. He dropped to one knee beside their garden plot, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a simple but elegant ring, a single diamond set in platinum. It's not as flashy as what you're probably used to, he said apologetically. But I saved for months and it's perfect, Jacqueline interrupted, tears now flowing freely. Absolutely perfect. Jacqueline Nelson, Hugh said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. Will you marry me? Will you help me raise Mia? Will you build a family with us? Yes, she said without hesitation. To all of it, yes. As he slipped the ring onto her finger, a small voice called out from behind them. Did she say yes, Daddy? They turned to find Mia standing a few feet away, bouncing on her toes with excitement, Rita beside her with a proud smile. She said yes, sweetheart, Hugh confirmed, opening his arms. Mia ran to them and Jacqueline caught her in an embrace. Does this mean you'll be my stepmom? The child asked. If that's okay with you, Jacqueline said cautiously. Mia considered this seriously. I'd like that, she decided. And Mommy would too. She always told Daddy to be happy. The wedding took place in the community garden 3 months later, a small ceremony with their closest friends and colleagues. Mia served as flower girl, taking her duties so seriously that she refused to smile until she distributed every single petal in her basket. Jacqueline wore a simple cream dress rather than a traditional gown, and Hugh looked handsome in a new suit, a gift from his bride. They wrote their own vows, promising not perfect love but honest love, not endless happiness but shared purpose. I once thought my inability to bear children meant I couldn't have a family, Jacqueline said, her voice clear in the autumn air. You and Mia showed me that family isn't defined by biology but by choice, by showing up, by being present, by loving without conditions. Hugh's eyes shone as he replied, You came into our lives when we were surviving, not living. You've taught me that it's possible to honor the past while embracing the future, to build something new without forgetting what came before. Rita, who had become a surrogate grandmother to them all, wiped tears from her eyes as she watched from the front row. About time those two figured it out, she whispered to her neighbor. I knew it from that first night in my diner. They honeymooned in a beachside cottage, Mia included in the trip because, as Jacqueline insisted, we're starting as we mean to go on as a family. Watching her new husband and stepdaughter build elaborate sandcastles, Jacqueline reflected on how dramatically her life had changed in just over a year. She had gone from a woman who believed her fertility struggles had ended her chance at romance to the wife of a man who had shown her that love could take many forms. 6 months after the wedding, they moved into a new home, neither Hugh's modest apartment nor Jacqueline's sleek penthouse, but a place they chose together, with a large kitchen for Hugh's cooking, a home office for Jacqueline's occasional work from home days, and a garden in the backyard. A year into their marriage, they began discussing adoption. The process was challenging, with home studies and interviews and mountains of paperwork, but Jacqueline approached it with the same determination she brought to corporate mergers. Are you sure about this? Hugh asked one night as they reviewed yet another form. You've already taken on so much with Mia. Jacqueline looked up from her papers. I've never been more sure of anything, she said. My fertility issues closed one door, but you showed me there are many ways to build a family. I want this with you. 18 months later, they welcomed Thomas, a newborn whose birth mother had chosen them specifically after meeting with several prospective adoptive parents. She liked that you were honest about not being a perfect family, their adoption counselor explained. She said you felt real. Holding Thomas for the first time with Hugh and 7-year-old Mia beside her, Jacqueline felt a completeness she had never expected to experience. He's so small, Mia whispered, touching her new brother's tiny fingers. I'm going to teach him everything. I'm counting on it, Jacqueline said, smiling at her stepdaughter with love. That night, after both children were asleep, Hugh found Jacqueline standing in the nursery doorway, watching Thomas's tiny chest rise and fall, having second thoughts. He asked softly, wrapping his arms around her from behind. She leaned back against him, drawing strength from his solid presence. No, just thinking about how far we've come. From a broken-down car and a diner in the rain, Jacqueline turned in his arms. From thinking I knew exactly what my life would be to discovering something infinitely better than I imagined. Hugh kissed her gently. That's the thing about love. It never follows the business plan. Jacqueline Nelson, CEO of Lumina Technologies, had once believed her fertility struggles meant the end of romance. Instead, they had led her to a struggling single father who had proven her gloriously wrong. Together, they had built a family that defied conventional definitions, but fulfilled the deepest wishes of their hearts, proving that sometimes the most beautiful journeys begin with unexpected detours.